Singleton scope, right? We started about Spring Bean scopes. As part of that, we started understanding what is singleton scope. Tell me, IOC container can keep Spring Bean class object in how many scopes? 6 scopes. What is the default scope? If no scope is specified, what's the default scope? What's the best scope to use? In out of 6 scopes, in how many scopes can be used in web applications and distributed application? All the 6 scopes. How many scopes can be used only in standalone application? What are those? Singleton and prototype. Okay. Is there any relation between singleton class and singleton scope? Behavior wise same, but implementation wise different. Singleton class is class level restriction to create only one object per JVM in any given situation, right? Okay. A singleton scope is IOC container restriction, container level restriction on Spring Bean to just create only one object. Okay. Per bean ID per class and keeping that object in internal cache for future reference. Keeping that object in internal cache for what? Future reference. So these are the things we discussed are not there. Yeah. One is singleton class, other one is what? Single. So final conclusion is when I make a Spring Bean scope as singleton, does it make does it make class as singleton class, guys? No. Singleton scope is different, singleton class is different, right? Okay, that's great. Yeah. Today, yeah, in which situation we have to take Spring Bean scope as singleton, guys? In which situation we have to take Spring Bean scope as singleton? Number one, when Spring Bean is having no data, no properties, right? When Spring Bean is having only final properties, read-only data. When Spring Bean is having shareable data. When Spring Bean is designed having no data, having fixed data or shareable data, then only we have to think about taking Spring Bean scope as singleton scope or not there. Right. Now I'm coming to actual discussion, guys. That is very interesting. What happens if you make real singleton class as what, guys? Singleton scope Spring Bean. So the singleton behavior will be continued or will not be continued? Will be continued. Okay, will be continued as long as you are going for factory method bean instantiation. Otherwise, singleton behavior will be broken when you configure same class for multiple time with a different bean IDs. Sir, private constructor is there, na? I already said. IOC container is very powerful. It can access private constructor of any class towards loading the class and creating the object. Yes? So final conclusion is what? When you configure that singleton Java class as Spring Bean for multiple time with the different bean IDs, if we enable factory method bean instantiation, the singleton class behavior will continue because that method will take care of what? Checking object is either already created or not. Checking whether object is already created or not. If you have not enabled that, what? If you have not enabled that, so singleton scope will be broken. Why? Because IOC container creates multiple objects for multiple bean IDs of the same singleton class by accessing private constructor through reflection API. What is that? Simply through what? Reflection API. This I cannot prove in XM annotation driven configuration. Why, sir? You take at the rate component. It's a user defined class. How many times I can add the rate component? One time. Can you add one more time at the rate component? No. So one time if we configure anyhow singleton scope will continue or not? Sir, what about at the rate bean method, sir? At the rate bean method, but I have to create object inside at the rate bean method. Can I create multiple objects for singleton class by using at the rate bean method? Again, I have to call get instance only. Single object only will be created or not. So I just want to show one breaking scenario, one continuing single class. So, but in XML, we can configure same class as multiple Spring Bean with the different bean IDs without worrying about package names and other things, na my idea. So first I'll demonstrate in what? XML level. Then we'll come to annotation level, right? Okay. Okay. Come to this. What is your bean ID? 719. Say launch. Close all editors, guys. Yeah. Go to any application. Here, real singleton class is there now, guys. S10 package you copy. You copy S10 package, bring to this place, say paste. Oh, I cannot copy this. How come? Copy this, say paste. S10, here is my printer.java. Singleton class is there. Now, configurations, application context.xml. Can I get 2 chairs? Application context.xml. Okay, let's keep these things as it is. I don't have problem. Bean ID. Bean ID. What is that? PRN1 class is equal to com dot nt dot stn dot printer. Factory hyphen method. What method? Factory hyphen method. What is there? Get inst. Bean ID prn2 printer factory hyphen method get instance. Are we ready, these guys? Yes. This is my application context dot xml. Same class 2 times. Yeah, I don't want to disturb existing guys. I'm taking one more class. Spring Bean scopes test. What is there? Spring Beans scopes test. Yeah, tell me here. Try. Tell me here. Annotation config. Application context ctx is equal to. What is there? A new annotation config. Application context. What is that? App config dot class. What dot class, guys? App config dot class. Acha, this is XML setup now. Okay, sorry guys. Class path XML application context CTX is equal to new class path XML application context of. Okay, tell me com slash nt slash cfz slash application context dot xml. What dot xml, guys? Application context dot x. That's a great. Get Spring Bean class object reference. Okay. Printer p1 is equal to ctx dot get b now. What is there? prn1 comma what dot class? Printer dot class. Printer p11 is equal to prn1 this. Printer p2 is equal to p12. This is my prn2 and what? prn2. prn2 and prn2. Are you getting my point there or not there? Super. Sysout p1 dot hash code. 1 dot hash code. That's good. Done. Next. Sysout p12 dot hash code dot 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 p12 dot hash code. 1 minute. p2 dot hash code. Yeah. So I have done instantiation through what, guys? I have done instance through factory method, right? Factory method anyhow take care of what? Checking whether object is already created or not. Tell me, singleton scope will be continued or will not be continued? Will be continued because I am not going for object creation based on new operator. I am going for object creation through what? Factory method. Factory hyphen method get instance is passed or not there. That means we are enabling factory method based bean instantiation. Check it out, guys. Though I printed 4 times, all of them will point to same object because that get instance based object creation is taking place, right? Okay, that's good. Now I'll take the same setup, guys. I'll remove this factory method based bean instance. I'll remove this word factory method based bean instantiation. That's good. Right click, tell me, run as Java application. 27273434. 27273434. So IOC container somehow accessed a private constructor and created the object. Somehow accessed a private constructor and created the object. What do you say, guys? That means singleton class behavior is broken here or not there? Yeah, this is what I was trying to tell. Check it out. If you configure same singleton Java class as multiple Spring Beans with different bean IDs by enabling what? Constructor based object creation, not possible to enable in annotation driven configuration, then the singleton pattern can be broken. If we enable factory method based instantiation, then singleton pattern cannot be broken. See this? In XML driven configuration, we can configure real singleton class as multiple Spring Bean with a different bean ID without enabling what? Static factory method bean instantiation as shown below. As shown below. We cannot do the same thing in what, guys? Annotation driven configuration. Okay, here, is there any enabling was? Is there any enabling of that, guys? No. So here singleton scope will be continued, will be broken, guys. Here singleton scope will be broken, right? Yes, 1 minute. Here singleton class pattern will be broken. Singleton class pattern will be broken. Okay, that's good. In application context dot xm. Yeah, here singleton pattern will not be broken because we are making the IOC container to go for Factory method based Spring Bean instance. Factory method based Spring Bean instance. Yes. Okay, guys. Sir, when is your next Spring Boot batch is starting? Yeah, 9 o'clock slot is free, guys. I don't know when they will start. Find out in office. Okay, people are asking why it is cannot be done in annotation. In annotation, can you only class user defined class means only one time it will be there? Come on, guys. How you configure twice? One class, can you configure twice as two Spring Beans? Not possible. So through at the rate component, not possible, right? Yeah, maybe possible using at the rate bean method. But the problem is inside at the rate bean method, who has to create object? Programmer. Can you create object for printer class by using new operator? So there also again you have to use printer dot get instance only. So how many times you call, any number of times you call get instance, single object only created na? See, continuity of singleton behavior for singleton class can be shown in annotation, but cannot be shown in breaking of singleton class. Okay, when you configure singleton class as what? Spring Bean having singleton scope cannot be shown in what? Annotation. Why? Because using annotation at the rate component, can you configure one class as two Spring Beans? No, because you have to write on the top of the class. Class is one. How you will write twice, right? You use brain. Sir, you can go for at the rate bean for multiple times, na? Okay, inside that, can you call printer? Printer is equal to new printer of? Because private constructor. No, what is option left for you? Printer dot get instance. In every at the rate get bin method, you have to write printer dot get instance only. That means always singleton class will be continued or not there. Always singleton pattern will be continued or not there. I think bulb glowing, whoever asked that question, Ishpita Das. Okay, yes sir, only predefined can show. It's not predefined, user defined. Okay. Yeah, now let me go to annotation setup. What setup, guys? Annotation. Let's come back to annotation setup. This is annotation setup? No, no, not. This is annotation setup. Here also, I am copy pasting the real singleton class. Copy this, tell me here. Say paste. This is my printer.java. How many times I can configure using at the rate component, guys? One time. When you configure singleton Java class as singleton scope Spring Bean for one time, you singleton scope anyhow will continue. Singleton pattern also anyhow will continue, right? Okay, what is the bean ID I'm taking, guys? PRN1. What's the bean ID I'm taking? PRN1. Oh, semicolon not allowed for the annotation. Yeah, close all the things, guys. But one more thing. It is there in which package? S10 package. Did we enable component scanning on S10 package? No. We have enabled component scanning only on S beans. There are two ways of doing it. Number one way, flower bracket open, flower bracket closing, com.nt.s10. This is official way. How many packages you want to scan, specify those packages. But I have one more provision I have given. If you mention root package of multiple packages, it not only scan that root package, it also scan what? Sub packages, right? It also scan what? Sub packages. Are you getting my point there? This is my com.nt or not there. Sir, it's basically array, na? But how can you write first element without flower bracket opening and closing? In any annotation parameter, if parameter type is array and you want to put only one element, flower bracket is optional. You want to keep more than one element, flower bracket is mandatory. Those who have watched my annotation fundamental videos, there I have clearly specified this one. If annotation param type is array type, but you want to keep only one element in that, flower bracket opening and closing is optional. You want to keep multiple element, flower bracket opening closing is mandatory. Got it? Okay, guys. At the rate component scan base package. This is recommended. Find out root package and mention it. Can I mention one root package, one specific package? Yes. That specific package is not in the pattern of root package name. You can mention it. That's not a big deal. Okay, that's good. Strategy DP test run as Java application. Yeah, maybe still I have not written the actual code. Testing code, did I write, guys? No. Okay, now go to this first project. Spring Bean scopes test is there. Copy. Come to what? Main package. Say paste. Come here. Let's not use this one, boss. What we have to use? Annotation config. Application context. CTX is equal to new annotation config. New annotation config application context. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. App config dot class. What dot class, guys? App config dot class. That's good, great. Yeah, tell me. Spring Beans scopes test, guys. Run as Java application. Where is the problem? No bean PRN2. That's right. Because right now we have only one thing now, guys. Only PRN1 is there. What is there? PRN. On printer.java, only PRN1 is there now, guys. Yes. Spring Beans scopes test. Tell me. Sysout. P1 dot hash code space P11 dot hash code. Are you getting it, my dear? Yes. Spring Beans scopes test run as a Java application. 9246 has come or not there? 9246 has come or not there, guys? Okay. Still not digesting how perfect singleton. And if it is perfect singleton, yeah, that's the beauty of IOC container, right? Okay, Ram Kumar, you have to see. See, when you develop the perfect singleton, you have to stop reflection API. You have to write entries in what? private constructor, you get the object count. If count is more than one, second time you throw the exception. That may break, that may continue singleton's scope spring bean having singleton pattern behavior. If you don't do that, sorry, IOC container happily breaks what? Singleton behaviors. Are you getting my point? Yes. Yes, guys. Ramkumar, good analysis. Go, good, good. No, you but fact is fact now, whether you accept or not, fact is fact. Yeah, if you develop perfect singleton as a reflection API protection class, then only you can continue singleton behavior even while working with what? IOC container. A singleton scope is continued or not there. Sir, we know that singleton Java class configured as Spring Bean only for one time. Okay, having singleton scope you always continue, singleton behavior continue. Already singleton scope is also singleton configured for one time. Why it will be broken? Why it will be broken? Is there any question of? Yes or no? Na? Already disciplined person. Come on. Little bit lucky is also there. Who stops you to get the job? Already singleton class. Singleton scope. Configured for how many times? One time. There's no question of breaking what? Singleton by anyone, either me or IOC container. When the tension comes, when you configure same singleton class as two Spring Beans with two different bean IDs, that too without enabling factory method bean instantiation, then only singleton scope will be broken. That too I can demonstrate that in XML only, not in Word annotation. Why? Can you add at the rate component twice on one user defined class? So no question of configuring one class as two Spring Beans by using at the rate component. Possible by using at the rate bean. But there, who has to create object program? But can programmer use new operator while creating object for printer class? So he has to use get instance. So indirectly is involving what? Factory method. When you involve factory method, what happens, guys? When you involve factory method, what happens, guys? Same object will be created, right? Convinced with me or not? Okay, now let's see. I'm removing this component on the top of it because I want to try by using app config. This is my app config.java, guys. Yeah. What is this everyday problem, Ra? Yeah, tell me. Public printer. Create printer one. Public printer, create printer one. Return. I'm actual plan is new printer off. Is it possible, guys? Why? It's a private constructor. Can we access private constructor outside of the class? No, that's good. Yeah, printer dot get instance. Okay. Then tell me what is the at the rate bean. Name is equal to prn1. Name is equal to prn1. Copy, paste. At the rate bean. Come on. Okay. At the rate bean. PRN2. What is there? Create printer 2. Tell me. Yeah, printer dot get instance of. What dot get instance, guys? Printer dot get instance of. That's great. Spring Beans scopes test. What is there, guys? Spring Beans scopes test. Yeah. Spring Beans scopes test. Yeah. PRN1, PRN2. I will take PRN2 this time. I think already there now. Yes, guys. Yeah, tell me. Singleton behavior will continue or will be broken? Will be continued happily. See, everything 303 only came now, my dear. Because you're involving static factory method bean instance. Convinced, guys? Okay, guys. Fine. So final conclusion is what? Final conclusion. Yeah, all these things are given. Everything is given. Yeah, let me give answer more nicely, more elaborately. Okay. Let me give more elaborated answer here. Black color. Yeah. If we configure, okay, singleton Java class. What is there? Real singleton Java class as singleton scope Spring Bean only for one time. Then the singleton scope will be continued. Will be continued. Got it? Yeah. Next point. If we configure real singleton Java class as singleton scope Spring Beans for multiple times with different bean IDs. What IDs, guys? Then tell me the singleton scope. Then the singleton scope will not be 1 minute. Singleton scope multiple bean IDs by enabling factory method bean instantiation. Then singleton scope will be continued. Then singleton scope will be continued, right? Are multiple times with bean IDs by enabling factory method bean instantiation. Then the singleton, 1 minute, the singleton pattern will be continued. Then the singleton pattern will be continued. Are you getting my point there? Copy, paste. If we configure real singleton class as, if we configure real singleton class as singleton scope Spring Bean for multiple time with different bean IDs without enabling what, guys? Factory method bean instantiation. Then the singleton pattern will not be continued. I hope you convinced with me, guys. Will be continued or will not be continued? Okay. Everyone understanding my statement or not there? Solution using factory method bean instantiation in what? @bean methods. Okay, this is story, guys. Entire story. See? Okay. Date, that's fine. Here use PRN1, PRN2, right? So we'll give what? Default. We'll give same bean ID or not there. We'll definitely give same bean ID or not there. Without taking Spring Bean class code as singleton Java class, to bring similar effect of singleton class behavior, then we need to take Spring Bean scope as what? Singleton scope. I don't want to take class as singleton class, but I want to bring similar effect. Then it's better to work with a singleton Spring Bean scope or not there. In real projects, service class, DAO class, controller classes will be taken as what? Singleton scope Spring Bean, because they generally these classes contain no state or fixed state or what? Shareable state. Service class, the class that contains business logic. DAO class, the class that contains persistence logic, JDBC code. Controller class, that class that contains monitoring logic. Most of the time, they don't have properties. If they have property also, they look like a read only. They're ready to take fixed data, right? Sometimes they take shareable data, but overall they're happy to have what? Only one object. So in that situation, better to configure those Spring Beans as what? Singleton scope Spring Bean or not there, right? The process of keeping different logics in different layers and making them talking to each other is called layered application development. In that, service class contains business logic, DAO class contains persistence logic, controller class contains monitoring logic. So are you getting my point, guys? Super. All singleton scope Spring Beans participates in what? Pre-eager early instantiation. That means object will be created the moment IOC container is created, irrespective of ctx.getBean method is called or not, irrespective of injections are happening or not, right? Okay, only for singleton scope Spring Bean, pre-instantiation takes place. Only the objects of singleton scope Spring Beans will be placed in what? Internal cache of the IOC container. Sir, how to disable that singleton behavior, sir? Sorry, pre-instantiation, sir. We should use @lazy true or not there? We should use. What are the different ways to enable lazy or what? Late instantiation on Spring Bean? Take singleton scope Spring Bean enabled with lazy true. Take Spring Bean scope other than what? Singleton scope. Okay, third one. Make sure that your Spring Bean is not dependent on what? Singleton scope Spring Bean. Target singleton scope Spring Bean. Are you getting my point there, guys? Make sure that and having other than what is there? Other than singleton scope. Having other than singleton scope. Make sure that your Spring Bean is not dependent to singleton scope's target Spring Bean. Having other than singleton scope. Having other than singleton. Okay, first singleton scope lazy true. Though container created, object will not be created until you use it. That's very straightforward. Take scope as other than singleton. Prototype, all these things support lazy instantiation by default. Take the scope as other than singleton, but make sure that that Spring Bean is not dependent to target singleton. Why, sir? Are target singleton pre-instantiation. During instantiation, right after instantiation, try to complete injection. That means if dependent is prototype or other than singleton, then also it will be uninstantiated to complete instantiate, to complete injection on target singleton scope Spring Bean or not there. Come on, guys. You want to live good life. If you become good, that is not enough. Make sure that you have a good friend also. Yes or no? Na? Make sure that you have a good friend. No, you are a good person, but you are doing friendship with what? A bad guy. Bad mean undisciplined guy. No good and bad in this world. It's all about perspective, right? Good for me is good for bad for you, or bad for me is good for me. It's all about perspective or narrativeness. Fine, come back. So, though you are sincere, you want to attend classes regularly, you want to go for job trial, but you are doing friendship with a wrong person who is not so focused. So indirectly, you will disturb your plans are not there. Unfortunately, is your roommate also. Unfortunately, your batchmate also. Unfortunately, is your childhood friend also. Unfortunately, you made him or you make her as a soulmate also. Then what happened? What happens? Jindagi gone. Forget about software job. Everything gone or not there. So that's why until you get the software job, try to have a discussion, try to roam with what? Positive narrative mindset people, positive prospective mindset people. So that if you are down on one certain day, they will encourage you to pick up and to go travel with them. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's nothing is there. Tomorrow is holiday to tell that. Yeah, fine. So what is the conclusion? Take spring bean scope as other than singleton, but make sure that it is not dependent to what? Target singleton scope spring bean. What happens otherwise? While creating object for singleton, injection also should be completed. In the process of completing injection, come on, in the process of complete injection, even though scope is other than singleton, dependent object also will be created or not. I'll give you one funny example. As a boy, you are a non-vegetarian, but you married to pure vegetarian girl. What guys? Pure vegetarian girl. Is there any option for you becoming vegetarian? No option at all, right? You have to become what? Vegetarian. Yes or no? Na? And let us assume for you outside food is not fitting well. So is there any option become converting yourself to vegetarian? Yeah, same thing here. You are non-vegetarian, but because of situations you have become vegetarian. Same story here are not there. In XML driven configuration, we can enable what? Lazy instantiation on singleton scope Spring Bean by using lazy init true attribute of bean tag. Here lazy init you have to use it, right? Lazy init. Reflection API code to create object of Java class outside Java class having private constructor. This code I already given to you people long back. Class dot for name loading class, getting all the constructors, using certain index constructor and calling new instance method to create object or not. Yes or no, na guys? Can we place only private constructor in Spring Bean class? Yes, because IOC container uses reflection API to get access to private constructor and to create what? Spring Bean class object. Can we make Spring Bean class as what? Private class. Java does not allow to take what? Outer classes as private classes. It allows to take only inner classes as what? It allows us to take only inner classes as private classes. Since we don't take inner class as Spring Bean, we can say overall the Spring Bean class cannot be taken as what? Private. I think we already discussed here and there. What are the two special properties that singleton scope Spring Bean is having compared to what? Other scope Spring Bean? Number one, pre-instantiation. Number two, ability to store its object reference in what? Internal cache by keeping reusability in mind. Come on, guys. How can we get singleton class effect on Spring Bean without making Spring Bean class as what? Real ton, real singleton class. Okay, take the Spring Bean scope as what? Singleton. And always try to instantiate Spring Bean by using what? Factory method bean instantiation. How can we configure one Java class as two Spring Bean having two different bean IDs? Using @bean method possible, guys? Come on. Create date1, dt1, dt2. Come on. In XML driven configuration also possible or not there? Okay. Class name is same, but object is different or not there? Class name is same, but object is different or not there? I think you got the basic idea about this singleton scope, my dear. Okay. Little slow now. What is slow now, Babu? Guys, these are the already completed discussion, Kunal. Since you are not attending classes regularly, not doing practicals regularly, don't show finger on me, please, guys. Huh? Kunal, please grow up, man. These are repeated discussions. First, tell me how many classes you missed. I'm just revising the questions that are already there. Guys, offline student, tell me, is it fast? Really fast? At least the people who are attending classes regularly and doing practicals regularly. Are you feeling fast? Kunal, change your attitude. This is not going to work out. Ajay, in what way fast? Reading sentence also fast. Those are feeling fast. I have to. Same topic I am repeating. These are the already completed, right? Fine. Those are feeling fast. First, check your side. Check your side. How many practicals you have done so far? By opening Eclipse workspace, you look at the screen. If that count is 1, 2, sorry, don't blame me. The problem is your side. Next, check one more thing. Check one more thing. Every day after class or before coming to class, are you going to the previous class document or not? Not going. Sorry. Don't show me finger on me. Okay, you are showing only one finger, but don't forget 4 fingers are at your side. 4 fingers are at your side. Please. No, I don't do everything, but I should get everything means not going to work out. Maybe James Gosling or what? Mr. Rod Jones comes and teaches you also, you will say speed only. Okay? Please. I'm going with dead slow means dead slow. Singleton scope, I have spent 2 days time. And you are still feeling I am going fast. God only can save you. You go and watch YouTube videos, entire scope, any faculty YouTube videos, all Spring Bean scopes will be completed in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But only singleton scope I have spent what? 2 days time, and I'm trying to touch every corner of it. Tricky questions also I have taken. Taken or not taken? I developed singleton class in front of you. Okay, then I have shown difference between what? Singleton scope, singleton class. Why? Because most regularly used scope in real time is what? Singletons. And definitely 1, 2 questions will be there on Spring Bean scopes and especially on singleton scope. Yes, na boss? Arey, Ajay, I like biscuits but not cream biscuits. Huh? Muddy fella. Just now said fast, now saying no throwing biscuits. Arey, use those words for your nearer and dearer. Okay. Fine. What is the difference between singleton Java, singleton class? Because singleton class can be there in any technology, right? Singleton class, singleton pattern. What is the difference between singleton class and singleton pattern? That's great. Yes. Tell me. Singleton class means what is there? The class means the class level restriction towards creating single object per JVM, single object per JVM in any situation. Yeah, tell me. In any situation. Singleton scope spring bean means. Singleton scope spring bean means. Are you getting my point there, guys? Yeah, what is next one? The IOC container level restriction for creating only one object for normal Java class that is acting as Spring Bean. Normal Java class that is acting as Spring Bean. Are you getting my point there, guys? Normal Java class that is acting as what? Spring Bean. Convinced with me or not there? Okay. One is a class level restriction. One is what? Container. Already discussed, but I want to give as a this one. Fine. Right. Okay. I think after 2 days, can I move to next scope now? That is what? Prototype scope. Right? Prototype, it says, create any number of objects you want. No pre-instantiation. Everything lazy. Remember blindly. Only singleton pre-instance. Why not pre-instantiation is not there for other than singleton scope Spring Bean? When they are getting how many objects they want, what is the use of creating early object? If created also that object is used or wasted? Yes or no? Na? Every day you are taking fresh milk from one vendor, right? Is there any need of purchasing packet milk then? If taken also, that will be wasted or not there? Every day you are freshly preparing food and eating. Is there any need of keeping pocket? Uh, what is that, guys? Packet food in the refrigerator? No, not required, right? Because every day, whenever you want, you are able to prepare the food and eat the food. There's a need of what? Keeping food in refrigerator for next day or not there. Similarly, prototype or any other scope other than singleton, whenever you need object, container is giving. When container is giving new object whenever it wants, okay, whenever you want, or application want. So is there any need of pre-instantiation? No. If at all created also, that object is reused or no, that is wasted. So why to create object that will be wasted in future? That's the reason no pre-instantiation for what? Other than singleton scope Spring Bean. Getting my point there, guys? Yeah, what is there? 21. Where is 21, guys? Hey, not saved today. Yeah, this is. The IOC container creates separate object for Spring Bean class for every ctx.getBean method call. And that Spring Bean class object will not be placed in what? Internal cache of the IOC container. If the Spring Bean class object state is changing time to time, not fixed, not a no state, not a shareable state, changing day time to time, then it is recommended to take that scope as what? Prototype scope. So that for every data change, one new object will be created for that Spring Bean. Only singleton scope Spring Beans will be kept in what? Internal cache of IOC container. That means other scope Spring Beans will not be kept in what? Internal cache of the IOC container. Lazy true is applicable only for what? Singleton scope Spring Bean to disable pre or eager instantiation on singleton scope Spring Bean. Lazy true does not give effect on other scope Spring Beans because they are always enabled with what? They are always enabled with what? Lazy instantiation. Okay? Okay, first of all, let me keep prototype scope. Go to where? S beans. Go to where? Vehicle, guys. Here, I'm taking scope as what? Prototype. Prototype. First of all, let me prove there is no pre-instantiation at all. Let me prove there is no pre-instantiation at all. Yeah, so many times vehicle is there now, guys. I'm commenting all this stuff, guys. I'm commenting all this stuff, guys. Yes, sir. In my first interview, 30-minute discussion was there on what? Singleton only. At last, they say, let's move to next question. At least you understood why I'm spending this much time. Singleton Java class, singleton scope. Both are very, very important. Okay. I think question is wrong. Singleton scope is not singleton pattern. Okay. Guys, what's happening? I think singleton pattern. Question is not wrong. Question is right. What's the difference between singleton class and singleton scope of Spring Bean, right? Okay. What the question I have given? Did I write wrong question? Both I have written same. Huh? 1 minute, 1 minute. We'll see. Did I write wrong question, guys? Check it out. What's the difference between singleton? Oh, fine, fine, fine. Singleton class and singleton scope Spring Bean. Yeah, thank you, guys. I have not noticed that. Singleton class and singleton scope Spring Bean. Singleton scope Spring Bean. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Let me show practicals of this. Yeah. I have disabled everything, but just changed scope to prototype. Strategy DB, guys, run as a Java application. Is there any vehicle object creation, guys? Why? Prototype scope means by default lazy loading is enabled or not? Prototype scope means by default lazy loading is enabled or not there? Say something, my dear. Come on. Super, guys. All right. That's good. Okay. Now what I do is I will enable. How many times ctx.getBean is called having vehicle bean ID? How many times it is called? 2 times. How many times it's been called, guys? 2 times. Yeah, StatZ DP test, right click, run as Java application. 588,149. 588, what is there? 149. Two different objects are created or not? How many objects are created? Two different objects are created. Did you notice that, guys? Okay. Two different objects are created. Check it out. What is the scope I have taken? Prototype. So tell me, I'm printing two hash codes. Two different hash codes will come or not there? When I check the references, they will give false or not there. If the Spring Bean scope is prototype, the Spring Bean class object reference will not be placed in what? Internal cache of IOC container. So ctx.getBean does not find prototype scope Spring Bean object reference in the internal cache of IOC container. Hence, it creates new object for every ctx.getBean method call or not there. What happens if we configure real singleton Java class as what? Prototype scope Spring Bean. Singleton pattern will be continued or prototype scope will be dominated? Question. Singleton pattern will be continued or prototype scope will be continued? Huh? Again, same answer. If we enable factory method bean instantiation, though scope is prototype, okay, singleton behavior will be continued. Because factory method you have enabled for object creation, all right? If you have not enabled it, prototype, singleton, whatever it is, the singleton pattern will be disturbed or not? I mean, it's a singleton pattern, singleton class behavior will be disturbed or not? Shall we see that one practically, guys? Right? Okay. First of all, in XML's, okay, I'll go to XML because in XML only I can configure Spring Bean without enabling factory bean by enabling factory bean, especially when you make singleton class as Spring Bean, right? Okay, fine. This is there, guys. This is there. Come to this. First, only one time or 2 times. That's not a big deal. 2 times I configured, but changed the scope to what? Prototype. Default is what? Single. Keeping the scope as what? Prototype. Again, keeping the scope as what? Prototype. Are you getting my point there? Keeping the scope as what? Prototype. Spring Beans scopes test. Same setup I maintained. Tell me, are you going to get same object or different object? Last row, please be active, guy. Very important FAQ. Okay, array, whatever the scope, as long as you are working with the factory method bean instantiation, the singleton scope will be continued or will not be continued? Will be continued or will not be continued? Are you getting my point there or not there? Super. Spring Bean scopes test run as, what is there? Java application. 576, 576, 576, 576. Total how many 576 are there, guys? Total how many 576 are there, guys? Continued or not? Suppose, I have not enabled factory method bean instantiation. When it is singleton, all know singleton class behavior is, when the scope is singleton itself, singleton scope behavior is broken. When it is prototype, it officially breaks, boss. Come on. When it is prototype, it will officially breaks or not there. and we cannot even realize why it is being broken. Why? Because officially we are asking prototype 576 093 386 630. Four different bean IDs are coming, or because IOC container is accessing what? Private constructor and creating object are not there. Come on, my dear. If IOC container is creating singleton class object by accessing private constructor, then prototype scope will be continued. That means IOC container creates multiple objects for multiple ctx.bedbean method call. Singleton Java class will be broken here or not there? Okay. Singleton Java class will be broken here or not there? Yeah, gives two different hash codes. The real singleton class behavior is broken because IOC container is using reflection API to create Spring Bean class objects or not. And that to officially prototype, guys. How many objects you want, those many objects will come or not there. Okay, come to annotation level. We'll check whether it is broken or not. Go to vehicle class, prototype, not prototype, sorry. Go to S10 printer.java, configure it as a Spring Bean. Come on. At the rate scope, where is this? PRN1. Oh, sorry. At the rate scope, prototype. At the rate scope, prototype. Spring Beans scopes test. What test, guys? What scopes, guys? Spring Beans scopes test. Printer P1, printer 1. Both we are testing or not, guys? Oh, let me print here. Copy this, paste it. I'm printing both hash codes are not there. But 1 minute, what I'm doing here? This is XML stuff now, boss. Yeah, this is annotation stuff, right? Yeah, this is annotation stuff. Go to app.config.java. Don't configure like this also. You configure only for one time. Check it out. Printer singleton class prototype scope, my dear. Spring Bean scopes test, my dear. Come on. Run as, what is there? Java application. 985 234. Because we are not enabling what? Factory method bean instantiation. We are asking IOC container happily access what? Private constructor. How many times you want to object? You create those many objects. Right? Okay. Now I want to ask IOC container use what? Factory method for bean object creation. Then I don't configure here, guys, because there's no attribute to enable like this. So that's why I go for what? At the rate bean method. What method? Okay, here object is created through constructor through factory method call. Object is created through factory method call. Yes or no, na boss? Object is not created through constructor. Object is created through what? Factory method call. Are you getting my point there? Super. Spring Beans scopes test, guys. Here you print everything, Babu, because 2 times I configured. Na? Okay, since I enabled factory method bean instantiation, the singleton scope will be continued or will not be continued. So what is the final conclusion answer, guys? Answer number one. What is answer number one? If you allow container to use reflection API to access private constructor to create object, singleton behavior gone, prototype scope will be continued. Prototype. Answer two. If you enable static factory method based what? Bean instantiation for prototype scope Spring Bean, whose class is singleton Java class, then singleton behavior will be continued or not. That means prototype scope is gone. Prototype scope does not take place. Yeah, tell me how many times a scope prototype using @bean method, static factory method bean instantiation is done now, guys. When you try to print the hash code, give same hash code because singleton Java class is getting instantiated through what? Static factory method where singleton logics are available. Are you getting my point there? Can we keep private constructor in Spring Bean class? Yes, already discussed, right? Don't say I'm going fast because it's already discussed. Can we can we take Spring Bean class as what? Private Java class? No. Only inner classes private possible. Outer classes private not possible. Are you getting my point there or not there? Super. How can we give singleton scope effect for the Spring Bean, though its scope is what? Prototype. Very interesting or not? Wait, I want prototype scope, but I want to give effect of what? This is another tricky and corner question, guys. Come on. Right, guys. Sir, change the class timings. We have completed React course. React course completed, huh? 9 o'clock. So fastly. Okay, fine. Okay, don't ask me like that. Ours will continue because it's a backbone of what? Java learning. Right. And moreover, timings cannot be changed, my dear Lokesh, because my batch means a lot of working people, upgradation people will be there. So once batch is fixed and that will continue. Only on weekends you have to be flexible. Weekend I may call you anytime because we have a long sessions on weekend. Not now, after few days. But this is fixed slot for till the end of the course. Okay. So timings cannot be changed, right? Can we inject same IOC container in any other Spring Bean Java class? Array, how container do injection? How container will be injected? Sorry, boss, not possible. You can create container inside the Spring Bean class by again using what? New operator and annotation config application contact. Okay, can you focus on this question first? How can we give singleton scope effect for the Spring Bean, though its scope is what? Prototype scope. Number one, what is this? Target Spring Bean is singleton. Dependent Spring Bean is prototype. Okay, and no lazy instantiation is enabled. Then what happens? Target is created only one time when container is created, right? And dependent is also created at that time or not there. But listen, let us assume you are not accessing dependent directly. You are accessing dependent only through target. How many target objects are created? How many dependents will be injected to the target? Only one. Are you accessing dependent directly? You are accessing only through target. So target scope is what? Singleton. How many objects are there? One. How many dependents are injected? So indirectly dependent also acting as a singleton or not there? Same thing. Target is vegetarian. Dependent is non-vegetarian. But both got married. And this dependent is not eating food outside. He is eating food only in the home. Then indirectly dependent is behaving like what? Vegetarian or not? Come on, guys. Okay. Target is OCD fellow. OCD means over cleanness. OCD, you know? Maybe the people who are there in hostel, they don't know what is OCD because you have already forgotten what is OCD, right? Yeah. Over cleaning disease is there. Is a one disorder. If something is disorder, they don't, they get a BP, angry, all that stuff. Okay. So you are doing friendship with another OCD function. So indirectly you also become OCD, na? Otherwise, what happened? That friend will leave you. Or he will say, hey, don't stay with me, go away. Yes or no, na? Yeah. That's one answer. Another answer. Singleton Java class configured with prototype scope Spring Bean. Come on. Configured with prototype scope, but enabled with what? Static factory method bean instantiation. This also gives singleton behavior or not there. So those copies prototype, singleton effect will come or not there? See answer. If prototype score Spring Bean is dependent to target Spring Bean, singleton scope Spring Bean, somehow dependent Spring Bean behaves like what? Singleton Spring Bean indirectly. What guys? Why indirectly guys? Singleton means one object, target one object. Okay, who is dependent prototype? In this one object, how many dependent objects will be injected? One object. Let us assume you are not accessing dependent directly. You are always using dependent only through target. Then how many objects are created for prototype? Only. Because it has to inject one object to the target, right? Because it has to inject what? One object to the target. Indirectly dependent also acting as what? Singleton. Prototype scope Spring Bean will also be pre-instantiated along with what? Singleton scope Spring Bean and will be used only for one time or not there. Yeah. If you are always planning to access dependent Spring Bean object through target Spring Bean object, then only one dependent Spring Bean object will be created to inject to target singleton scope Spring Bean, though dependent Spring Bean scope is what? Prototype. This is what I'm accessing now, my dear. If we configure real singleton Java class as what? Prototype scope Spring Bean by enabling static factory method bean instantiation. Then also prototype scope behaves like what? Singleton scope are not there. Yeah, final conclusion is what? Final conclusion is what? Two answers are there. What is answer number one? 1 minute. I will make it properly this. This is answer one. This is my answer. This is another tricky question, guys. Scope is prototype, but I want to get the effect of what? Singleton. But I want to get the effect of what? Singleton. Everyone getting my point there, guys? Okay, now let's see. Number one, target scope is what? Single. Dependent scope is what? Prototype. And you are accessing dependent only through target. In this situation, what happened? How many objects will be created for target? At what time? Pre-instance. That time only it will try to complete injection. Okay, target is ready to take how many dependents? One dependent. So what happens? Dependent object also pre-instantiated and injected to target. How many numbers? So indirectly dependent is prototype, but it is behaving like a singleton or not. A non-vegetarian boy married to vegetarian girl somehow becomes what? Vegetarian boy. Yes or no? Number two, I configured real singleton Java class by as prototype score Spring Bean by enabling static factory method bean instantiation. Since static factory method bean instantiation is enabled, somehow, what happens? It also behaves like a singleton or not. Those scope is prototype. This is another tricky question. Two tricky questions I have given so far. Number one, if these questions are asked in the interview room, you can, at the end of interview, you can ask, when did you complete course with Natras sir? They are that much corner and tricky questions. Number one, what happens if we configure real singleton Java class as okay, singleton scope or prototype scope Spring Bean? Singleton scope will be continued or will not be continued. That's the one thing. Another one is, okay, another one is, I Spring Bean scope is prototype, but I want to bring the effect of what? Singleton. How to do it? Change scope to singleton. No, 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 no. I want to take prototype scope, but I want to see behavior of what? Singleton. So one is factory method, other one is what? Okay, make it as dependent to this. Are you getting my point there, guys? Okay. So when should I go for prototype scope? If the state, that means data of the object, Spring Bean is changing time to time. It is not fixed, guys. Changing time to time. In that situation, it's better to work with what? Prototype scope Spring Bean or not. Suppose my Spring Bean is collecting form data. What data? Array, all users will give same data, not different data. I want to store form data into Spring Bean class object. For every user, it's better to take a separate object for Spring Bean or not. 10 requests from 10 users. So they give 10 different inputs from the forms, right? So to store them in 10 objects, prototype scope is better, singleton scope is better. Where is this? Where is this, guys? 7:30 a.m., right? That's the old one, huh? This one, 7 a.m.? No, I know, holiday announced. Once in a while, holiday come for that one, this much hangama. 17th July. Spring Core, right click, file upload. Yeah, tomorrow is holiday on the occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. Yeah, this is 20th. Where is 21st, guys? One has to be overridden, one has to be uploaded. Please give blessing to all the student on the occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. Okay. Prince Jain. AA is not replacing engineer, but AA should be involved to become perfect engineer. You ask ChatGPT, give me e-commerce application with PhonePe integration. It cannot give. It may give sample codes, right? So they help us writing code in faster manner, but they cannot write entire code. Common sense, logical thinking, configurations, integrations, we only should take care. So if programmer is not using AA, he will lag behind compared to other programmers. Others are taking 1 hour time to complete the task. This fellow will take 10 hours time if you don't know how to use the AA support. In future, I'll show how to take AA support in our applications, right? Okay. Update session 20 also, I have done that. Okay, can you show your offline class looks like? Oh, why you want to see, Ra? It's your regular class only. Okay. It's a regular class. 7 a.m. Don't expect too much crowd also. Thank you. Have a nice time.